PBL, PBL, PBL. Oh my God, before med school, I just heard about it all the time and I had no idea what it was. So tune in if you want to find out what that's all about. PBL, or problem-based learning, is basically a teaching method that helps you respond appropriately to complex real-life situations. But honestly, whenever I used to go to PBL, I felt like a knight. You know, like King Arthur's knights, or like part of Merlin's squad. Because we're sitting around a table, an oval round table, for 3 hours sorting a medical case. Okay, that sounds really scary. It was more an hour. So your first hour would be reporting back. So the week before you would have had some questions, things you didn't understand. So for the first hour, you discuss those things that you didn't know or that you had to study further. Then we have a snack break, and that's like one of my favorite times ever. And it's even better when you've got a chef or you've got someone that's a baker, just someone that's like fantastic in the kitchen. There was this one time someone made cookies. Oh my God, it was beautiful. I think it was, what did he say? I think he said you have to have an equal number of brown sugar and white sugar to get that like soft texture, you know, like a Subway cookie basically. Those were my favorite. Anyway, that's what you do, and it rotates. So for instance, if you've had like 6 people in your PBL group, every single person would have to get snacks once, and you do not want to stuff this up. People who have stuffed that up have had hangry students, and you do not want that. That's a serious issue because you're hungry and you're studying, like just cannot happen. And final hour, we continue the case from the week before. Anyway, it was literally the first PBL session I've ever had in medical school, and you can imagine it was nerve-wracking. Partly because I had no idea what to expect, and partly because I wanted a cool group of people. And by cool, I mean funny people. Because if I'm going to be stuck with you for 3 hours, you might as well make me laugh. Make all of us laugh. So lucky for me, I managed to sit next to the grumpiest person on this planet. He was so grumpy that he scared the life out of me during orientation. And he said he wasn't a morning person. He's Canadian, so he had to deal with jet lag. And he's got an RBF, a resting B face. So, we're friends now, by the way. So I feel like I can say things about him because we're friends. And he knows this, and I love him to bits. So, yeah. Anyway, first case ever. We had this guy called Kyle Jackson. And the first slide of the case is always a little bit about the person. So a little bit about Kyle, that he is male, 20 years of age, and he presented with a severe headache, and you literally feel like a detective. And then as you move along, you are given more details. So you get the detail that he has had a gas leak at home, and every single time you flip through and you move along with the case, you have to write down extra bits of information. So sometimes it would be things like social history. So it would be things like, oh, does this patient smoke? Does he drink any alcohol? Sometimes it would be family history. Oh, you know, like the parents have had headaches, or, you know, like sometimes it's extra information about different things. Sometimes it's what the doctors have done, what investigations have they done. So you just keep moving along the case, and you have to decide what to do next in terms of treatment, and you also have to hypothesize what you think the condition is. So in this Kyle Jackson case with the headache, we thought that he had carbon monoxide poisoning, amongst a few other things. And we were a pretty good group, to be honest. We were cool, supportive, and super funny, if I must say so myself. And no one spoke on top of each other. We were sort of cruising along, and our PBL tutor, she was an absolute legend. Apparently it was her first time holding a session, but she was amazing. She had to ask us questions to stimulate our brains and make sure that we're doing well and not being assholes to one another. So she was great. At the end of the session, you write down a list of learning objectives, or LOBs. So these are things that you have to study during the 2 days in between the PBL sessions, or like over the weekend, because they're things that you didn't understand from the case, or things that you need to know further to help with an exam. So instead of having multiple exams every single week, you got like this mini test sort of thing that you have to present in front of your PBL group to make sure that you're on top of all of your studies. And you essentially teach it to the class. So it's like with the lobs, you get randomly allocated a lob and then you have to present it to the class or like teach the concept to the class. And then they comment on you and shred you. They don't always shred you, but like it depends on the PBL group that you get. And I've got to admit, I'm a solo learner. The thing is, I'm so chatty that it's just not useful for other people or myself, if I'm being completely honest, because I just chat too much. I'm just amazing to be around. I'm just kidding. But I'm just too chatty. And so I was a little bit skeptical about the whole PBL idea because I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to be with people. We're not going to be the same level. Like, what if it's all fun and games? But I've actually noticed that it was quite the opposite. I feel like PBL has helped me learn because those fun, funny moments and making friends and all of that has contributed to me remembering more about different conditions and different cases. Let me tell you about some of the stuff that we used to get up to. So it was just the second week. We had a diarrhea case and we were discussing causes and the treatment. So basically, this chick, she had diarrhea. We had to rehydrate her in the case. And there's me thinking about, oh, you know, there must be medications to stop diarrhea. And third year me knows that it's called loperamide. But I also have a problem of using my inner voice. It's never an inner voice. I also do a stage whisper, as in I cannot whisper to save my life. If I were ever on the run or like had to hide from someone or a serial killer, clearly I watch too many weird movies, but if I was on the run and if I had to hide from a serial killer and for some reason if I had to make a phone call and whisper, I would be caught dead because I cannot whisper. Anyway, so here's my flawed inner voice. I said something like, there must be something like a butt plug to stop diarrhea. And I had no idea what that meant, but everyone was laughing. So let's just say that week I had the weirdest search history. I probably should have gone incognito, but there we have it. Strange search history on the university computers. Great. Second month of PBL, we had a heart attack case and we had to come back and discuss angina and the different types of angina. So angina is basically chest pain when your heart isn't getting enough oxygen. And there are three types: stable, unstable, and Prinzmental. But someone decided to add a fourth type. So I want you to fill in the blanks because I feel like it's not really appropriate to mention. Man blank. Think about it. All right, so you get the picture. Then at the end of that month, we had to be evaluated so that the tutor could get feedback on her work since it was her first time and we were her first PBL group. So she told us to be slightly more serious. And she was saying, like, you guys are a good group, but sometimes you tend to joke around a little bit much and we're being evaluated, so we don't want to take away from the session. And I was like, okay. I get teased heaps most of the time. I love it. I just enjoy attention like that. Nah, it's just more like, you're not my friend if you don't tease me, okay? So this particular PBL, we were quieter than usual. And we had a pediatric case. She was prematurely born and, she had acute respiratory distress syndrome. And the mum was a solicitor. I don't know why that was a relevant bit of information that they gave us, but sometimes I feel like it really depends on the case writer. So some of them like painting the picture and giving you extra details. Others are more straight to the point. It really depends on the case writer. So I want you to think about this for a second. What is a solicitor? And it means a lawyer. I'm just ruining it for you. It means a lawyer. But we've got people from different backgrounds in class. I mean, literally, I've had PBL with Canadians, Americans, Lebanese students. I've had it with like pretty much people from all over the world, right? Australians, Kiwis, people from all over the world. So someone asked, what does it mean? And my friend, he goes like, prostitute. Without flinching. Like, nothing wrong, obviously. But he was so convinced. And the funny bit was that, like, it was supposed to be a serious session where we were getting evaluated. And we're over there debating what solicitor means. I don't know. He was probably tired. I didn't get it. It was just funny, okay? Okay, so I took 1 week off of PBL. I know, kind of naughty. But I went to my best friend's wedding in Australia. It was so worth it. It was a beautiful farm wedding. I've never been to a farm wedding before that. And me being a nerd, I was studying on the plane so that I wouldn't have to play catch up. I also requested a Skype meeting, but the PBL tutor absolutely refused. She was like, you're going to Australia for your friend's wedding. Do not Skype us. She was like, just focus, just have fun, like have fun, you're a week away. I was like, okay, a little bit nervous, but I mean, when people tell you to have fun, what are you going to say? No? Like, of course you're going to have fun. And it was renal week. And I knew it had to do with the kidneys. I knew that I'm not particularly good at using kidneys, as in like studying the kidneys. So I'm looking at the lob list. So the learning objectives that my PBL group sent me. And we've got this like little cute WhatsApp group where we send each other stuff. So they decided to send me our 14 learning objectives. And let me tell you, 14 for learning objectives is a ridiculous number. That means they went overboard. Usually the average is about 9, and in first year, I feel like all of us are like super keen to know every single detail. And then towards the end, you kind of realize that you can't possibly know everything. So you want to focus on the things that are important. So that doesn't happen as much in second year. Anyway, going back to the story, 13 of them were kidney related, and we had a disease learning objective about acute tubular necrosis, as in damage to the kidney tubules, some about the physiology of the kidneys, etc. And just a quick hint, if you hear anyone saying disease learning objective or drug learning objective, it is an absolutely horrendous day. Just stay away from that medical student, because it's a tiny term to say you need to know everything about that disease. So literally, the epidemiology, risk factors, signs and symptoms, differentials, treatment, management, prognosis, complications. Yeah, I said it in one breath. Like, you need to know all of that associated with the disease. It just looks beautiful, but you need to know so much to do with it. And it's the same with the drug lob. You need to know everything about the drug, the side effects, the contraindications, when to give it, when not to give it, So, as I was saying, there are 14 lobs. 13 of them were kidney related, and in those kidney related lobs, there was a disease lob, there was a drug lob, there was so much to study. And then the extra lob was another disease lob about penile cancer, and you can understand how annoying that would be. That's like one lob that's equivalent to 8 others. So that was like having 16 plus 13. I can't do maths that quickly. Like, that's like having 29 lobs in total. Like, that was absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I didn't even count the drug lob. So that's like having like 32 lobs, because the drug lob is like equivalent to 4. Anyway, that's really not important. But that was so many lobs. And so on our cute little WhatsApp group, I asked them, I'm like, are we sure that this penile cancer lob is actually related to our case? And one of the quieter girls in my class was like, oh yeah, it's like one of the extra ones we thought would be relevant. Now here's the thing. If you have a quiet person in your class, do you ever question their motives? No, they're quiet. Like, they're innocent, obviously. So as soon as I got back the night before we had to go to PBL, I asked a friend on our way to the gym, and he's like, oh, come on, Hafsa, just study for it. I rock up the first thing the next morning. I was like spending the whole day trying to catch up, the whole evening when I got back, trying to catch up, trying to fix my jet lag. Like, it was a whole mess. So rock up first thing in the morning. I had this presentation that I had to do, and then I went to PBL. I'm already tired, and to be honest, I was a little bit late as well. So my tutor stops me in my tracks, and I'm just like, great, I'm in trouble for being late, and I'm just not prepared. And she surprised me. She's like, hey, House, I hope you had a good week off. So since you had a week off, we're going to start you off. Are you ready? And I'm just like, not particularly. And then she was like, okay, you're going to start with the penile cancer disease lab. I wasn't super prepared, and I admitted that, but she was still like, you know what, just like prepare, like whatever, like even if you read a little bit, just like say what you know, and then we'll add stuff to you. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm on the board, and like a couple of people in my PBL, they start giggling, and I'm just like, okay, like I didn't even start. Like, why are you guys laughing? I don't even understand. And then someone's like, oh, come on, Hausa, draw some male genitals, and like some more laughter. And then someone in the end was like, And I was like, oh yeah, super professional, guys. And then someone was like, you know what, Hafsa, you really don't need to do it. And then I'm like, no, I will do it. I don't want to let the group down. I'll do a little bit. And in the end, everyone was laughing and they were like, this is revenge for taking a whole week off. The funniest part was that one of the girls who wasn't absent, because I was the only one that was absent for the week, she wasn't absent. She was right there with them. I think she wasn't paying attention. She ended up actually doing the disease lob. She must have zoned out, I guess. So if it makes you feel better, definitely made me feel better. I had my revenge a year later. I sent a text to my friend from someone else's phone saying he slept in and was late for class. So just to rewind a little bit, I actually misread our timetable and I thought we had class starting at 9 a.m. So PBL at 9 a.m. because that's what we had in first year. But then last year on one of the weeks, because they split us up into Group A and Group B, we had class that started at 5. And me being an idiot and a couple of my other friends, we actually went to class at 9 a.m. and turns out we were in stream A and turns out it was stream B's turn to have the 9 a.m. class. So I was like, well, since I'm at the medical school in the PBL room, I might as well make him suffer as well because I love my friends so much. So sent him a text saying he slept in. The owner of the phone, though, she felt bad. So she texted him after he got dressed and stuff and was like, oh, just a prank. And you know what he did? Instead of being like, thank you for telling me, he comes up to me and he's like, you know, she should have continued right to the end. Once I made it to school, that's when it would have worked well. Yeah. Ooh, I also told everyone that he got married when he came back from a long holiday. Clearly, I need help pranking people.